Hello and welcome to Wow TV. This is your host, Angèle Cristina. Today we have an awesome guest, one of the people who a year ago inspired me to go into this online entrepreneurial business. So with us we have the most amazing online entrepreneur in my eyes. And I'm not saying this because you are here on this particular call. I will say and explain the journey. Kimra Luna, everyone. And I know they are applauding from home. Like a crowd cheer.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on today.
I'm really thrilled, Kimra. For me, this time last year, you were just an image on my Facebook because I had the same hair color as you, so kind of we had the bluish shades at the time. Yeah, kind of like the straw. And I had actually just been let go from work because of my hair color. So I was in a really bad place. And a friend of mine sent me your link and she's like, oh, look, she looks like you look like her kind of scenario. And I just started researching and looking into actually who you are and what you do. And I was fascinated. It's more than fascinated, but let's say fascinated. And that's how basically I got into this online world. Now I'm doing my own thing and I love it. So thank you, first of all. And a year ago, it was a dream. Today, we're here speaking to each other.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. And thank you so much for sharing that. I do know that one thing that sticks out about me in the online space is because I do look different and I have an alternative, so to speak, alternative look. And, you know, there's a lot of other people that are pretty vanilla in the industry. And I feel like, you know, it was like time for people to be able to just look different and be online and build businesses. And so, yeah, I'm glad that it attracted you to me.
Yes, exactly. And it's
refreshing. Now you are running your business and all your stuff. So, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's refreshing to see something different. I like being different. I think I was born to be different. So I remember when I have a sister and what she liked, I hated. What I liked, she hated. So we were like this. So I always wanted to be different. And then when I did lose my job because of the hair color, I had a decision to make. I'm either going to stick to who I am or change to, you know, just keep the job. And obviously I didn't. And it's the best decision ever. So maybe we can just start off from here. After introducing yourself, because I'm not sure if everyone knows who this awesome person is in front of me. Who is Kimra Luna?
So I'm Kimra Luna. I'm a personal branding and online business strategist. I'm the founder of Freedom Hackers, which is an online community of hundreds of thousands of people currently through my email list and communities online. I'm also the founder of Be True Brand You, my signature program that I open once a year that teaches people how to build a brand from everything from scratch all the way to launching their digital programs and marketing. And I also recently opened a new blog called Sacred Mama, which is all about my healing journey over the past 10 years and my journey of raising conscious children, because I do have 3 boys. So yeah.
Fantastic. So that also makes people associate with you. It's not impossible to have an online business if you are a mother, right?
It is not impossible. I'm doing it with 3 children, so there's pretty much no excuses. I have people say, oh, I have all these kids and all this stuff. And I'm just like, but if you have a dream, you have a dream. Like, are you going to go for it or not? It's really just making that decision on if you're going to go for it or not go for it, you know? And I made the decision to do it, and I've stuck that path, and I'm now a single mother, and because I'm going through a divorce. And so, you know, it's like it's worth it to me to work from home so I can be with my children as much as possible. So it's great.
Fabulous. Once you mentioned immediately the last part, this self-discovery that you've went into, the Sacred Mama part. What made you go into this? So you said it's been 10 years, but now you just released this new side of you.
Yeah, well, I had a mommy blog before. Like, 5 years ago, I actually had a mommy blog called The Misfit Mama. And I did blog about like my mothering experience and things like that, but it was mostly a health and wellness blog. I've been really into personal development over the past 10 years. I've been working a lot through healing, primarily through trauma, as I was traumatized, abused, beat my entire life. I was also raped 11 years ago. And I have spent a lot of time in personal development and trauma resolution and things like that. But it also made me realize there was a lot of things with parenting that really make you grow as a person. And so I've actually been wanting to share my Sacred Mama blog for the past 2 years. But my now soon-to-be ex was very kind of a little bit discouraging on it because he wanted to allow my other business to grow first, you know, which it was kind of more like a business decision type of thing. But I really wish I would have went with my gut and would have released it years ago, because I have hundreds and hundreds of stories to share and inspire and help people learn. And just it's a whole other side that most people online haven't seen. I mean, people in person know all of my story and all that stuff, and I talk about all that stuff because that's like what I'm all into. I'm into mothering and birthing and parenting and relationships, and now going through divorce with raising kids and co-parenting and all this stuff. So I'm really into these types of topics, and it's my whole life. I mean, yes, I have my business and I teach marketing and branding and all sort of stuff, but Sacred Mama is who I am as a person. And my program is called Be True Brand You. And so I obviously need to have a brand that's out there that is completely me. And my current brand is me, but it's me teaching marketing and training in business. My Sacred Mama brand is more me from the like internal and spiritual sense.
Exactly. I like that, because for me, obviously both sides are you, but you focused on one side in the beginning. It's like it was the wrapper on the gift, and now you're actually unraveling what's underneath the wrapper for the true core of who you are, which is really beautiful.
Yes. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are they're multi-passionate, and they feel like, well, how am I supposed to start a business? I really love this. I really love this. And I want to help people with this and help people with this. And the thing is, you just got to pick one. Because once you get one that's successful and stable enough, then you can branch into the others. Like my Sacred Mama business doesn't need to make a bunch of money. It could just flow through me, and it could be inspiration, because I have my other established business that is consistently making me money literally every single day. While I sleep, there is money coming in with my online business. So, you know, I think it's so important to establish one business first and then start moving on to those other multi-passionate things. Because you can't be everything, you know, and you need to be able to have a direct message for your audience, so they know like, oh, this is the right person for me to follow. Because there's a lot of people who aren't going to follow me on my Sacred Mama journey. My current audience, I mean, maybe 10% or something will really follow me to my Sacred Mama journey, like, and through that entire, you know, blog on that side. So it's completely different audiences even, you know, and I know that, and I'm okay with that. Because if people want business stuff from me, why are they going to want parenting stuff? You know, like they might not want both, you know? So I decided to have two like separate brands to represent me.
Fabulous. Once you were speaking about this journey, you mentioned you did not address your gut feeling at the time. And you are a woo person. You call yourself a woo person, and you work a lot with energies. And I feel this as well. And I have finally started to address my gut feeling. It's like someone inside of you knows what you should or shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
How have you decided that you now do address it, and how useful it is to have these energies in your business?
Yeah. Well, I've always focused and did things very intuitively. The part that was hard for me was having a partner who some things didn't agree with me. And that was very difficult for me. Because I feel that it did hold me back from a lot of even products and services that I wanted to offer. You know, it held me back from a lot of things. So, which of course now is partly why, and one tiny speck of why I am getting a divorce. Because I need to be able to follow my intuition and my instincts and my gut a lot more. So I always feel like, okay, my business was so successful when I was following my intuition, but I wasn't following to the best that I could have been following it. So I'm like, imagine now with me following it completely and going with my gut instinct on things and just doing what feels good to me. I only want to do what feels good to me, and I believe I deserve that, and that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, so it's just been a very interesting time. I'm definitely a person who is extremely intuitive in general. I've always like I lived in Idaho, and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna move to California, bye, and just like left. And then I moved to California, ended up like touring with all these amazing punk bands. I get great jobs, great gigs, like my whole life becomes completely incredible because I was just like, bye everyone, and just took off. Like I just was like, it's going to be great. And everyone was like, oh, you'll be back in a month. You won't be able to last there. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this place is amazing. And it's so awesome. Like, I'm not leaving here, so I've always been a person where that's just how I am. And when I'm feeling held back by something, I have to let that thing go. And that actually is what happened with me deciding to get a divorce, was like, I had to let go of something that was holding me back from me being my truest self. And that made it the easy decision to finally open up, my Sacred Mama business and things like that. But, that's like a whole other thing.
I feel you just gave us gold there, honestly, because you said you felt you must let go of something that is holding you back. In your case, it was a relationship, but there might be viewers out there who are feeling that they are being held back by whatever it is. And I think it's so, so crucial. That's where the intuition comes in, which makes you realize what it is that is holding you back. Because sometimes I feel that you are in a relationship, which I was in the past, and I didn't realize it was wrong for me until I was out of it. So even with regards to jobs or whatever, as I was saying, a year ago, I was let go from work because of the hair. And today I am here because of the hair. So, so it's really interesting how the journey develops.
Yeah, and everybody's journey is very different too. I feel like, we don't really know until we're like in it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really know like, oh, like this is, going to be an important part of what happens later. Like I can even think about things like that I mentioned 5-6 years ago, where I'm just like, wow, like I should have went for that, but I didn't, and I wasn't trusting. And I feel like, sometimes we kind of get stuck in this rut, or we feel we should do things. Part of it could also be just like even being a woman and the way like society has put things on us. Like, I even thought, oh, my husband has to be the breadwinner, like has to be. And it held me back from going towards my dreams. 7-8 years ago. And I had a business previous to being with my husband. So it was kind of like society stigmas and stereotypes and things like that held me back from things too. And then once I finally just was like, no, like I'm just going to be myself. That's when I created Freedom Hackers, and my brand was able to explode. Because I had blogs before that, but it's like nothing really exploded until I was Freedom Hackers. And like that was like who I am. And I was using my gifts to the fullest extent too. Like my gift is teaching. And once I realized that was my gift, I was like, I'm just going to go all in on this teaching thing. And that's, why I developed so many products and courses and programs and stuff over the past 3 years.
Do you have a particular routine which gets you into your intuition or gets you into your zone?
It really depends on the day. I do definitely spend a lot of time in self-care. I do like to do things that actually make me feel feminine, because I feel my feminine side is my creative side. So I make sure like I do my makeup and do my hair, and like I'll get dressed. Like I know a lot of people, they work from home and they just stay like in their yoga pants all day. But the thing is I feel like if you want to be in a creative space, you need to feel sexy. Like you need to feel like I am hot today. Like I am on, like now let's be creative. And so I'm all about, making myself feel good. So I always make sure, I shower and I take my time in the shower. I don't just like, just jump out, like I'm like, oh, I'm in the shower and I'm relaxing in the shower and it feels good to be in the shower and the water is running over me. And it's almost like a meditative type of thing, to get myself to just start feeling good. I love to, light candles. Like my office is kind of like my sacred space. Like my office is all decorated, but like the rest of my house like isn't, because my office is my sacred space, because that's where I am creative. That's where I am producing content and recording videos and making stuff for my audience. And so I make sure my space is decorated the way I want it to be decorated. And it's really funny because people ask me all the time if I hired decorators. I was like, no, I did this myself. But I really like to have my space as like my space to create. And one of the things too is like I said, I'm recently getting divorced, and my husband used to have his desk like right behind mine. It annoyed the crap out of me that his desk was there. I felt like it was clogging up my creative space. And it matters. Like the energy of your space matters. And so if you work from home and maybe you don't have like just a room just to do your work, go to a coffee shop and like make that coffee shop and that seat you have at the coffee shop your sacred space. Like if you come to the coffee shop, come at the same time every day, swoop up the same spot, and then that's your sacred space. Like rent out a little office space, go to WeWork or a co-working space. Like you need to have like something that's your space in order to create, because if you're not comfortable, then you're not going to create anything, and you're just going to have blocks, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't write this email, I can't do this. And yeah, so sorry my lighting keeps changing. The sun apparently is moving, and so
no,
bright and then dark, but it's okay.
No worries, we're in different time zones. So here I'm in the evening and you're in earlier, so yeah, we're brighter, but it's fine. I really liked how you said the creative space. I find myself that to be creative, I need to rest or be away from the project that I'm doing or from how it is in my head. And then when I come back to it, I'm full of ideas. How important is rest for you? And do you think that we should suggest to all these lovely people watching us that they should take breaks rather than
I take a lot of breaks even during the day while I am working. Like I'll just be like in here working. I'm in my office working for like 20 minutes, and I just go and lay on my bed and watch Netflix like for a little bit, and then I just come back, because I'm just like, brain's overloaded. Like let's like pause for a minute. But I also get really good sleep. Like I sleep at least 8 hours every single night, and I always have, and that is with 3 kids. And I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, how do you do it with 3 kids? It's really easy. You just let them sleep in the bed with you, and then they all fall asleep, and then you can go sleep anywhere else if you want. So it's like I feel like people overcomplicate things and like try to make these like strict schedules with their kids, and like sleep time becomes like this huge battle. I'm just like, sleep time is easy for me. I literally walk into my bedroom and say, hey, everybody, we're going to sleep, and then everybody comes and just lays down and goes to sleep. And then guess what? 8 hours later, we wake up and then we're like, oh, ta-da, we slept good. I'm like, why do people overcomplicate things? Like, just make it easy, and yes, my oldest son, he's 8. He sleeps in his own room majority of the time. And so does my 5-year-old, the baby, he's most of the time in the room with me. But it's like, I feel people, it's like they think sleep is like complicated, and it's like, it isn't, just make it a routine, and then everybody, it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. But yeah, I feel like sleep is very important. If you can't sleep, if you don't sleep well, you don't focus well. And one thing about entrepreneurship is you need immense amounts of focus in order to achieve things. Especially you want to achieve things quickly, you need immense amounts of focus. And so rest is very, very, very important. And I had made a post about this one time, and because I laughed my ass off, because there's all these people who are like, oh, you got to hustle like 16 hours a week. Like if you're not hustling at 3 a.m, like you're not really like an entrepreneur. I mean, there's all these crazy people, right? Like saying these things. I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I sleep like 8 to 10 hours every single night. And I'm a mom with 3 kids, and I do hustle my face off. But sleep is important. You need to sleep. You need to rest. You need to take vacations. Like, I mean, the beginning of August, it was August. Yeah, the beginning of August, I went to Philadelphia for 3 days, because I was just like, I'm just going to go on a trip for like 3 days and just be like, peace out, everybody. Bye. And just went, because I was just like, I just need to get away. I had just like announced that we were getting divorced. I was like, I'm just going to go away for like a few days and then come back, and then my brain will be okay. And I can, focus and get back to work. And it was great. I was able to come back and focus, and then, crank out lots of content and get everything ready for my launch that's coming up and all that sort of stuff. So taking breaks and little mini vacations, even if it's a staycation. I mean, like when I went to Philly, it's like less than 2-hour drive, you know, so it's like I just drove there. So even like little mini staycations, even if it's a hotel 3 blocks from your house, like get out of your home, especially if you're a person that works from home. If you work from home, you need to get out of your house at least 5 times a week. Like you can't be in your house all the time if you work in your house. So I understand that when you say you need distance from the creative space, I need distance from it too. Like I can't live in my office. Like I'd go crazy, you know? So.
I also want to ask you, as this morning I was actually watching a TED Talk, and this wonderful woman was saying that as online entrepreneurs, because we are using our gifts to create, to share, you know, to serve, we get depleted from our energy. So it's very important that we rest. And I thought that was very, very wise of her, because you literally give from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're pouring out.
Especially when we're a personal brand, and you know, if you're not selling socks or physical products or anything, you're literally giving yourself.
Exactly.
And so it makes things, it can be very draining. I mean, I have over 5,000 students in my programs. So yes, I understand what being drained is and what giving of yourself is and what it means, and how we do need to refuel. In the month of October, I'm launching my Beat Your Brand You program. And when I launch, I'm typically working from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep during that launch period. And so that's going to be about a 3-week period of time where all I'm doing is working, basically. But that's what happens when you launch. Luckily, it's kind of seasonal, and I only do that once a year. But it's like, that's like game time, you know, that's like, you know, building up to like this, you know, like the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup or whatever. It's like you're building up to like that top game, and it's very important, and you got to be all in. And that's kind of like how it is for me. It's like my once a year time where I launch and I go really hard on it. But I do know to schedule in massage appointments during that time, to, you know, schedule in going painting or doing music lessons, or, you know, just fun things, night out with the girls, you know, like
during the launch, right?
Yes. So those are all scheduled into that 3-week period of time. Like, so I'm actually probably going out more in that 3-week period of time than I normally do, because I know that it can be a lot of work. So I know I need to take those breaks and make sure I take those breaks, and even have other friends committed to, like, hey, Kimra, we're arriving at karaoke at 8 p.m. So you must arrive there at 8 p.m. You know what I mean? Like that way it's like forcing me to get out of the house, because as entrepreneurs, we can get in that hustle mode and then stay in that hustle mode. And then we drain ourselves out. We have adrenal fatigue. And then after the launch, you basically just want to die, you know, and that's already happened to me before. So I don't want that to happen again. So I now know, you know, put those things on the calendar and go to them. Like getting massages is part of the business plan, you know, like it needs to happen. It's part of the strategy, you know, like it just is. And so in all that self-care stuff, I like to, you know, read like personal development books and that sort of stuff. I read a lot of books just like, you know, like on self-love, and I've been reading a lot of relationship stuff lately, of course, because now I'm dating. So yeah, so it's like one of those things where it's like, I feel like you have to take breaks. You have to be mindful of that. And you have to schedule it in. If it's not on your calendar and you didn't already prepay for the massage so that you have to go, because or else you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm out $90, you know, like prepay. So you're forcing yourself to go, prepay for your classes, or you just force yourself to go to your art classes or whatever it is that you need to take those breaks during those, like, especially during really hustle periods of time.
Any book, any self-care book that just, you know, you would suggest to anyone?
Self-care book? I don't know, actually. I mean, my favorite one is actually, hold on, let me grab it. I got it right here. Is Danielle Laporte's The Desire Map. So this book is what changed my whole entire life, really. I mean, I have had a lot of books that have changed my life, but this one is actually what helped me start my business, my Freedom Hackers business. So like going through all the core desired feelings and doing the workbook, like that's when I decided to end my health and wellness business and blog, and then head like full force into Freedom Hackers. I literally even deleted the old blog that had hundreds of blog posts on it. I banished it from the internet. I mean, you might be able to find some stuff maybe. But I banished it. And then I created something completely from scratch, you know, brand new list, brand new following, brand new everything. And that was because of this book. So I love Danielle Laporte, just so you know. She's amazing.
Fabulous, fabulous.
But I always have this book at my desk. So
yeah, you just picked it out and this wasn't planned at all. So hey.
No, it's literally at my desk. So I believe everybody should read that book and go, because it has like a workbook in it too. So it's like, it actually has like materials like go through. It's like a course almost, but like in a book. So it's really cool.
Thank you. Sounds awesome. So we should look into that for sure. With regards to online visibility, Kimra, is there something in particular? Everyone's, going on Facebook Live, and I know you immediately had done Facebook ads from day one. Is there something that changed since then and that you would suggest for the viewers here who are looking to be visible online?
Yeah, video is the king right now when it comes to visibility. Whether it's live streams, whether it's YouTube or just regular video content, whether it's like your Instagram stories or your Snapchat stories, video is everything. And I feel there's a lot of people who get fear of being on video. And what I say to those people is go to a local improv class and take 10 classes and just start feeling comfortable speaking, being in front of people. I mean, it's an essential now. Like, it is essential to create video content. Unless you're, selling, lip gloss, maybe not. But even then, all the people now selling lip gloss have beauty blogs. You know what I mean? And they're the face of the brand, So brands are much different now, and everything is very heavy video focused because that's how consumers like to absorb the information. That's how they like to get it into their head. So, and even now with Facebook, it's even more video heavy. Like they have like a separate tab, like on your app, like on the app, there's like literally a spot you click that says video, you know what I mean? And like, so people click on that and then it has all these videos that, from people that are their friends or people that they follow. And like it's all about the video. So you have to get comfortable. You need to go to improv classes or do speech classes or acting classes, something that's going to get you in front of people. And it can be very, very, very uncomfortable. But I tell everybody, like even in my Be True Brandy program, that they must go to an improv class. Like that is like a requirement of the course material. Like you must go because if you can't get comfortable in front of people, then you're not going to have a successful business. And I can't help you, like literally I can't. Like if you're not willing to step that much outside of the box, which it's honestly not stepping that much outside of the box. I mean, there's literally millions of people that do improv like every single day, so it's not stepping way crazily outside of the box, but you have to be able to do at least that much because I feel like if you can't even go to an improv class, then there's no possible way you can handle when you're in the middle of the launch and your website crashes. And you have to think on the fly and figure out what can we do to solve this problem. Yeah. Like if you can't even do that one thing, go to an improv class, there's no way you're going to be able to handle being an entrepreneur. And that's just the truth. Like to me, an improv class is like easy freaking peasy compared to a day of being an entrepreneur with thousands of students in your programs. Like that's easy, and even if it's scary, like going to improv class is even still scary for me. And I'm a person who's on video, who's done a bajillion podcast interviews, who's like, it's still scary for me, but I still do it because that's how I know my business is going to succeed because I know I have to step outside my comfort zone. And if you're not stepping outside your comfort zone consistently, then you are not an entrepreneur. Like
that's a mic drop. That's a mic drop.
Yeah. I've had someone ask me one time, like, what is your definition of entrepreneur? And I said, a person who's stepping outside of their comfort zone every single day. That's the definition of an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter. Like, you need to be stepping outside your comfort zone or you're not an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurship changes by the day. Like every day is change. You have to be able to accept change. Change is always happening. You never know when some crazy tech thing is going to crash. You never know when all of a sudden live stream comes out, like technology changes. Like you never know what is going to happen, So, I mean, one day, what if all of a sudden the internet made it so you can't email people anymore? And you have this huge email list and you're like, oh crap, like what am I supposed to do? You have to figure out a solution. You're the entrepreneur. And so there's change every single freaking day. And improv classes, acting classes, speech classes, those sorts of things, all like any sort of public speaking sort of stuff, all of that helps you as an entrepreneur. Even if you're not even in front of the camera, say you're pitching people over the phone. Guess what? It's going to help you in that. It's going to help you think on the fly when you're in the middle of a pitch and they ask you something maybe you aren't necessarily prepared for, you're still going to be able to be prepared because you took an improv class. Very important.
I love that. I really, really love that. I have a background of acting and I was also a TV presenter. So for me, maybe it's easier, but many people have asked me, but I'm scared, to press the live button. And then I realize it's not exactly about everything else, but I think people are scared of being judged. People are scared of how they're going to look. People are scared of what people are going to say about them and things like this. So there's a whole other world other than the actual, being on camera and just looking pretty.
Yeah. And it takes, there's a lot of on the fly stuff, and especially if someone's going to do live streams, it could be different if you're like recording videos and someone's editing them or whatever, like that could be different. But when you are going to be live or you're going to be doing interviews or you want people to actually interview you on their podcast, having had experience taking an improv class is definitely going to benefit you when you get on a podcast interview. Because you're going to be able to, your mind works in a different way and you're able to connect in a better way when you do those types of things. So it's so crucial.
You can be quick. Exactly. You can relate quickly. You can think quickly. And even if sometimes you wouldn't have questions prepared, for example, you can just go for it and just be spontaneous and not be scared of content or whatever you're going to be talking about. And
exactly. And usually when people interview me on podcasts, they'll send me the questions. I don't even look at them because I'm just like, no, like I just do it on the fly. Like, that's where you're going to get the best from me. So that's the way I do it. Other people, they need to kind of know what the questions are and think them through. And that's cool, but there still is going to be spontaneous things. Like you can prepare all you want. There's going to be spontaneity that happens and changes and things that you're like, oh my gosh, like I did not expect that. But that is the life of entrepreneurship. And if you're not able to commit to that, then you need to work a regular job and do that because entrepreneurship will eat you alive if you're not ready for changes.
I also feel that with lives or with putting yourself out there, you are totally being vulnerable. So recently you actually had a post and you were asking your audience and your followers what vulnerability means. And for me, it's a very, very powerful word because after I realized and I started embracing it, my life changed. As you said, I completely went out of my comfort zone and I finally felt, really, really strong of what I want to do. What is vulnerability for you and why were you addressing it at that point in life and right now?
Yeah, I mean, vulnerability has always been kind of a common theme for me. Even just as a young person, like even as a kid, like I always had this weird thing where I didn't want to be vulnerable at all. Like I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be tough. Like I was like it because I was raised in such an abusive environment. I thought that being tough was the way I was supposed to be. I didn't know that I was able to accept the gentle side of me or the softer side or even cry for that matter. I was one of those people who like never cried. Like for years, I think there was probably at least a 10-year period of time where I did not even cry once. And I now know that that's not healthy for one. I do think we can all be vulnerable in our own ways. I mean, I'm definitely a person, because I'm a public figure, being vulnerable publicly is probably not something a lot of other people would be comfortable with, but I still think everybody should have vulnerability in their own personal life. They should, open up to their friends or their loved ones about the way they feel about things. And even if you're just opening up to a journal, like you need to get things out of you. And it's a really important process, especially if you are someone who is healing from trauma or healing from, a bad relationship or just, trying to get through any sort of struggle, financial struggles, any type of struggle. You do need to be vulnerable. And yesterday I made a post that was just about what is. What is happening in this present moment is happening in this present moment. Just let that happen. And don't try to resist it. Just be like, hey, this is the way I'm feeling right this minute. And I'm just going to let it be. And recently I did on the new moon, I don't know if you know Gala Darling, but one of her friends was at the event and did this meditation. And the meditation was talking about, really doing a meditation a different way, not where you're trying to push aside your feelings and be neutral, but where you're just feeling the feelings. And you're allowing those feelings to flow through you. And I feel like that is really like what vulnerability is to me. And I had never done like a meditation that was like that. And when I did it, I was like, wow, like I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling this way. Like I'm feeling this way. And then of course I started thinking, wait, am I crazy? Because I'm feeling like 20 different things at once. But then I was like, but no, I'm not. Like I'm just a person who has feelings, and everybody has feelings like this, and we need to embrace them. Yes, some of them aren't necessarily the greatest feelings. If you're feeling a lot of rage or jealousy against somebody, you should probably address that and figure out why that's happening and get that to a more neutral place. But it is important to notice when we do have those things. Like if you do notice a hint of jealousy when you see somebody, having success or something, ask yourself, why am I feeling that way? And you're just like, wow, that's because I haven't been doing much work in my business lately. And I know that I could be having those results too. So why am I sitting here being lazy? And maybe you're calling yourself out on something, and I feel like sometimes you have to coach yourself a little bit. And a lot of people have asked me like, oh, like, because I've had this spiritual journey like the past 10 years, like who's coached you? Like, everybody wants to know every single book I read or all the details of everything. And I'm like, it's really been me coaching myself. I didn't have any therapist or anything until the past like few years after, I realized I had pretty severe PTSD. I didn't realize it was as severe as I thought it was. And then I started getting like therapy, and then I was also getting therapy like with my marriage and stuff too. But before that, I mean, for 8 years before that, I didn't have any therapy. And then as a kid growing up, I should have been in therapy and I wasn't, so I have coached myself through this whole time. And I've taken inspiration from a lot of different places, but I had to figure it out on my own. And that's partly why I tell people all the time, I say, I'm not like a mindset guru. Like I can't tell you an exact strategy to have like this amazing mindset. Because it's all stuff I learned from life experience. And it's difficult to teach, but I can share the stories. And that's partly why I had opened Sacred Mama, is because I can share the stories. And the stories can inspire people to, maybe they're in that same situation. And they're like, oh, snap, I'm in that same situation. I want to get out of it. Recently, I had people just like I made a post about getting divorced and that sort of stuff. And I've had multiple people send me Facebook messages say that because I had posted that, they made the decision to get a divorce as well. And it was something that they had been they just didn't feel strong enough to do. But when they saw someone who they looked up to, who to me, I feel like I'm stepping up in my power. I'm stepping up in my own leadership by making that decision and being like, no, like this is done with. We're moving on to new things. That has helped other people. And so I feel we all have stories to share, even though we might not think like it's even significant. Like I didn't think like posting that I was getting divorced was going to be significant. I thought it was actually going to have a very, very negative effect. Like almost like I failed at something, when everybody sees me as so successful, and then all of a sudden I post like, oh, I'm getting a divorce. They're like, I mean, people were sobbing because I posted that I was getting divorced. Like, and I'm just like, it's okay. Like we've been working on this for like 3 years. We know that this is the right decision. Like but people were very affected by it. And I thought that it was going to be really negative, but it turns out it's really positive because all these other people are saying like, now I feel like I'm comfortable enough to address the issues that are happening in my marriage, or I feel confident enough to finally file for the divorce because my, spouse is a jerk and treats me horribly, and I don't want to be in this anymore, and I don't deserve that anymore, and I'm just like, holy cow, like I like that post is changing people's lives, and I didn't realize that it would. So
exactly. Sometimes with our own personal stories where we are inspirations, we don't even realize. I mean, even myself, I sometimes receive messages saying, thank you so much for what you said yesterday in the live. I feel you are a blessing. And the first time I read something like this, I was shocked. I'm like, okay, I am actually doing something reasonable here. And whilst you were talking, I felt it's like our life is a hot air balloon, but with weights. And until you cut them all off, you can't take flight. I don't know if that makes sense, but whilst you were talking, this image came to mind. So
I love it. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel, I mean, yes, from a marketing standpoint, it's smart to share your stories. And of course there's some things I definitely don't share. I keep things like, I wait until there's a lesson for people to learn, I guess, so to speak, you know, because sometimes there is a rough patch that's happening. And I usually wait until there's a life lesson or a business lesson or something to share after I go through something. I don't like to share a lot of things when I'm right in the middle of it. I tend to wait at least a few weeks before I really decide, like, okay, I'm gonna talk about this. Because I really feel like we need to share more stories. We just do as a people, because that's the way people connect with us. And, you know, from the marketing standpoint, somebody connecting, yes, of course, they're more likely to buy. But I think just from the perspective of let's make the world a better place, we should be sharing our stories. Because
I think when you share your stories, you're being authentic. You're being someone who people can relate with. And that is what, even in my opinion, being authentic is so, so important for online entrepreneur world, or else they have no idea who they're speaking to if everything is pre-recorded and they have never seen you live or have never seen your face and the webinar was just slides. I always wonder, but who is this person? We've never seen her. How can I trust this person?
Yeah. And I'm very much the same way. Like I have to see that this person is actually connecting in a more genuine, authentic way. Or I just don't even follow them. Like I can't even pay attention to people like that. Like it's too much clutter for my brain, you know, like I'm going to follow a person who's being authentic and being real and, you know, really wanting to connect with their audience and their students and that sort of stuff.
Fabulous. Coming to a close here. So besides the hair, crazy fun stuff, what does Kimra do to have fun? I know there was a singer somewhere within you.
Yes, I do love singing. I'm currently in the search for a new voice coach, because I am a good singer. I really enjoy singing. So that's one of my things. I also have guitar back there, so I play guitar. Which I'm very rusty at, so don't ask me to play. I need to work on it. There'll be videos eventually. So just follow me and you'll find them. And, you know, I love playing guitar. I love going to punk rock shows. That's pretty much my ultimate favorite thing to do is being out and going to a gig. Like I could do that every night for the rest of my life and I would be very happy and very content with my life if that's what I did. So I really love punk rock shows and I really just love being with my friends and people I care about. Because I do know that, you know, time is really, really precious. And with, especially, you know, I have 3 kids and I see them growing up so fast. And then I have other friends too. It's like, I don't want them to grow away from me. And I actually have a friend who's in town here in New York, who I haven't seen in 10 years. And I'm like so excited to see her. Like she was such a person who really helped empower me and inspire me in a lot of ways. And, you know, I really feel like, you know, it's important for us to spend time with those people. Like my whole evening tonight and tomorrow is completely blocked off just for her, you know? And I'm a busy freaking person and I'm a single mom with 3 kids, you know, and I made sure I blocked off the time because I feel it's important to spend time with those people you do really care about and you do really connect with and who are supportive of you and who want to see you succeed. You know, they always say, you know, you become like the top 5 people you spend the most time with. And you have to be very mindful of that. Like, I don't just give out my time to anybody. There has to be a reason for it. And, you know, it has to be a good reason. It's either they help me feel great when I'm around them. Because if someone makes me feel great when I'm around them, then I'm going to want to spend more time with them. Right. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a business person or a business benefit in any way. And then I just hope that they feel that same way about me too, you know? But I do think that friends is pretty much my top priority in my life, like in general. I want to be with my kids and I want to be with my friends. And just spend time having fun with them. And whether we're going painting or whether we're just going out to eat, I love food. So I'm a vegan. And New York has all the amazing vegan restaurants. So, you know, whether it's going out to eat, karaoke, we really like that, you know, or just hanging out on my roof. Like, to me, as long as I'm like with great people who feel good and I feel good around them and they feel good around me, like that's really my ultimate fun, is friends.
And is the downtime the same? So would you also spend your downtime, your offline time, let's call it that way, with your friends as well, or do you look for time alone?
It's mainly with my friends. I mean, I do spend some alone time. I try to make sure I spend at least like 2 hours a day, like by myself, whether that's when I'm journaling or, like I'm really into like self-pleasure routines, whether that's just like massaging my own hand or even like actual sexual self-pleasure. Those are really important things. I feel people should have like on a daily basis, just talking to yourself, being like, hey, like you're awesome, like spending time admiring traits about yourself is part of self-love. And so I make sure I spend time every single day doing those things. And then, the rest of my downtime is either with my kids or with friends hanging out. I like to, I like to do a lot of things. I went skydiving recently and I want to go all the time. Like I wish if I could skydive every weekend, I would. Like if I lived like right by the skydive place, like I'd be at that place like every weekend jumping out of planes, so there's just a lot of things I love doing. I love roller skating. That's like my favorite thing. But mainly punk rock shows. That's pretty much my jam. Is like go to punk rock show. I'm good for life.
Fantastic. To close, if you had to give advice to the Kimra when she started, would you tell her to change anything?
Probably not. I don't think I would tell her anything. Like I'd just be like, "Hey," and like that's it. Like I think it all meant to happen for a reason. Like I feel like there's kind of this like divine timing of things. Like I was meant to be in a relationship with my husband at that specific time. I was meant to go through different things in my healing process. I was meant to have the certain types of births that I had. I was meant to be connected with certain types of people that I was connected with, whether good or bad. Like I feel like everything kind of happened in this divine timing type of way. And so I feel like even if I gave myself advice, I wouldn't have listened to it anyway because I'm a rebel. So, like I would have done the opposite. It's hilarious. I had a business coach and I just did everything the opposite of what they said. So, I probably shouldn't hire business coaches because I just do the opposite of what they do.
So basically your main message to the audience is follow your intuition and be true to yourself, right?
Yeah. Be your own coach, guide yourself, tap into your feelings, tap into what feels right to you. And yes, you got to know strategies. You got to know at least how to market, but sometimes you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. And that's the reason why my brand was successful. I've never launched how other people launch. Like I do it my own way and it's fun for me and I enjoy it. And I'm just going to keep doing it that way. All my launches have been very successful. They've all grown every single time. And I know that it's because I just follow my intuition and my instincts and I just go for it.
Fantastic. I'm not going to add anything to that, but just thank you so much, truly from my heart. I'm so grateful that you just accepted, to chat with us because it's awesome. So great success. Big wishes here from Wondrous Online Women. I really, really thank you again and hope to see you soon. Maybe one day we meet in an event or something.
Yes, that'd be great. That would be so awesome to meet you in person. Yes, it'd be awesome.
Thank you, my dear. Take care of yourself and rock on always and forever.